At 18, my stepbrother had me committed. He cupped my face with a touch that pretended to be tender, although the cold in his eyes said otherwise. "Stop loving anyone except me," he whispered beside my ear, "and I will bring you home." Years passed while I rotted inside that white building. During that time, 6 parcels arrived for me. First came my boyfriend's legs. Then his eyes. After that, his hands. Even when I begged Damien and confessed that I loved him, the gifts continued. On my 21st birthday, the final box was delivered. His head lay inside. I smiled without hesitation. When the doors finally opened, I walked into Damien Blackwood's arms and became his wife. We inked each other's names over our hearts. His empire employed only men because I refused to allow any woman near him. He found this charming, even endearing. He remained pleased until a girl claiming to be his long-lost sister appeared at our doorstep. She gave me a mocking look. "You will be out of here soon. My brother was only using you while I was gone." My phone vibrated. Damien had sent 3 clipped words. "Do not touch her." I laughed, stepped forward, and pushed a knife between her ribs. Then I replied to him. "I am the only sister you have, my love. The only one." Outside the operating room, Damien slammed me against the wall, shaking with fury. "She posed no threat to you. Why did you do this?" His anger reminded me of the day he kidnapped me 8 years ago. I smiled up at him. "Have you forgotten what you said at our wedding?" Back then, he held my hand so gently that I had believed he might actually break apart without me. "Sister or lover, you are the only one I will ever keep." Now that hand was crushing my wrist while his anger burned on behalf of another girl. Guilt flickered over his face. Then he forced it away. "When did you become this cruel?" "You taught me," I answered softly. I remembered the bright white room, the tray they pushed toward me, the hollow gaze of the head staring up at me. That moment shaped the creature I became. "Is something wrong, Damien? Do you not like what you created?" A surgeon stepped out. "It is a miracle she survived. Her heart is on the right side." The blade missed it. Damien exhaled. A small, stunned smile appeared. "Just like mine," he said. "His real sister. Naturally she lived because fortune always chooses a favorite." They wheeled her past us. She saw me and shrieked. "Damien, arrest her. She is dangerous. Lock her up." He held her hand, silent yet protective. "A cage," I said lightly. "I know all about cages. I spent 3 years inside one." Her accusation scraped at something in me. I reached for the pin in my hair and lunged. Damien moved before I could blink. The next breath, a gun was pressed against my forehead. "I warned you one time. Not again." The world dimmed. When I woke, I was inside our mansion with guards watching but unwilling to touch me. Damien would never allow it. That worked in my favor. I took a shovel from the garden shed, dug a deep pit, climbed inside, and took a picture of myself. "You have 10 minutes to reach me. If not, they bury me." 9.5 minutes later, Damien's car tore through the gates. Blood dripped down his face as he ran toward the hole. But the pit had been filled. A mound of fresh soil rose in its place. He froze. Then he began clawing at it like a madman, tearing his hands open on stones until blood seeped between his fingers. When he reached the bottom, he found the corpse of his beloved guard dog. That was the moment he understood I had manipulated him completely. His bodyguards knelt so quickly that the gravel scattered beneath them. Mrs. Blackwood threatened to kill herself if we interfered. The leader choked out. We could not stop her. Damien smiled in a way that made every man there tremble. Without hesitation, he drew his gun and shot the speaker in the head. Someone whispered, "Sir, one motorcycle is missing from the garage." Recognition flared across Damien's face, followed by pure rage. "Increase security at the hospital." "I am coming." I watched him leave on the cameras. He had once taught me that a person caught between 2 emotional traps cannot think straight. 8 years ago that had been me. Now it was him. I sat in his study and flipped our wedding photo face down. Then I opened the messages I had never seen before. Her name was Isla. He had found her 6 months earlier. There were photo after photo. Roller coasters. Pottery classes. A small adopted cat. Smiles that did not belong to the man who made me into his mirror. She had sent me messages filled with poison. "You were nothing more than a replacement. Now that I am here, get out of the way." Each one dug deeper than the last. I climbed the garden wall and sped off on the stolen motorcycle. Her messages led me to a tattoo shop. I went inside and ordered the artist to remove Damien's name from my skin. When his hand accidentally brushed my chest, a thought flickered. Damien would kill him for that. Then I corrected myself. Perhaps he would make an exception for his dear sister's husband. The shop was decorated in sugary pink. I glanced around and smiled politely. Your wife must adore you, funding such a lovely business. He stiffened. She does not care about me, he muttered. She cares only for her brother. The shop name uses both their names. I tilted my head. Does Isla's child resemble her brother too? He froze. How did you know about the baby? Before he finished the question, the tattoo needle struck his neck. He fell in a spray of blood. I wiped my cheek and sent Isla a picture of his body. A small gift to welcome you home. My phone lit up with calls from Isla, then Damien. I ignored all of them. Instead, I photographed the raw skin where the tattoo used to be and sent it to Damien. I told you, my love. You only have one sister. Minutes passed before he replied. Stop the bleeding. I will send Isla away. Anywhere you choose. He was negotiating. The thought enraged me. He wanted to save her. I threw the phone at the wall. A small boy crawled out from the back room, staring at me with huge eyes. I beckoned. 10 minutes later, his men found me. They dragged me back and dropped me in front of Damien. He seized my chin. I can tolerate your games with me, but you do not drag innocent people into them. Where is the child? His anger amused me. You did not mind killing for me long ago, yet now you preach morals. I held his gaze and smiled. How about we trade, darling? His expression changed, something almost nostalgic crossing his features. You really have grown up, he murmured. I pulled away in disgust. When you handed me a gun and ordered me to shoot your uncle, you called me decisive. Why complain now that your sister's husband is dead? Afraid she might cry? His face tightened. This is the final incident, he said. Tell me what you want. Anything, as long as the boy is safe. I pressed a kiss to the back of his hand. I want Isla dead. Damien's expression hardened. No. The door swung open before he could say more. Isla stormed in, shaking with fury. Damien, she murdered my husband. I want her punished. I want her dead. Fresh blood seeped through the bandages on her chest. I smiled at her. Did you enjoy the gift? Damien shot me a cold look, then called for a doctor. But Isla snatched a pair of scissors from a tray and lunged straight at me. I remained still. Damien did not. He shielded me with his own arm, taking the cut himself. Blood ran down his forearm instantly. Why are you still protecting her? Isla screamed. Men are replaceable, he snapped. I will get you a better husband. The child matters more than either of you. She quieted at once and began tending to him. I stared. For years, whenever he was hurt, I had been the one crying while bandaging him. Now she did it, gently, dotingly. He rose and clapped his hands. A guard entered with a ceramic urn. My mother's ashes. My stomach dropped. Damien gestured to it. The transaction begins. Where is the child? I laughed through the tremor in my voice. Still the puppeteer, Damien. Within minutes, the boy was safely found. Isla snatched him into her arms, sobbing. Damien gave a satisfied nod. He turned to his guard. Take the urn away. Isla staggered dramatically, fell forward, and crashed into it. The urn fractured. Ash spilled across the marble floor and mixed with dust and droplets of blood. My mind emptied to a cold, white space. Isla smiled. Whoops. Clumsy me. I will kill you, I said quietly. No grave. No remains. Nothing left. Damien barked. Enough. Learn from this. He gathered Isla and her child and walked away, without looking at me again. I knelt and scooped my mother's ashes into my palms. My movements were slow and careful, almost ceremonial. He had promised long ago that nothing of hers would ever be harmed. He had broken that promise today for Isla's sake. My heart calcified. When the room finally fell silent, I made a call. It is me, I said. Activate everything. He broke his promise. Now, he will pay for it. I stood by the bay, where my mother had died for us, scattering the last handful of her ashes into the wind. Gunfire echoed in the memories that lived under my skin. She had shielded Damien and me with her own body that day. My stepfather died instantly. She followed soon after. After that, the family descended like vultures. Damien and I survived only because we clung to each other like cornered animals. For years, I believed we were one soul, split into two bodies. I believed he was the only person left in the world who understood me. And he dragged me into the dark with him. What he did not know was that I had rebuilt pieces of my mother's network in secret. I prayed I would never need to use it. A new message buzzed on my phone. Another picture from Isla. Damien stood in their kitchen, sleeves rolled up, bandage showing, cooking for her. Her caption was a taunt. "This is what family looks like. Has he ever cooked for you?" "We cooked together," I typed. Then I sent her a video. Security footage from our bedroom. A tangle of bodies, heat and breath, his voice against my throat. "Please be gentle, brother. You like it rough, love." Her responses came sharp and unhinged. "You whore. You disgusting witch. Stay away from him." Then another one, as if she needed to reassure herself. "He is done with you. He will throw you out soon." I pocketed my phone. For a month, she seemed right. No guards watching me, only luxury meals delivered, jewelry worth millions. The tabloids reported that Damien's 8-year companion was being dismissed, replaced by the true heiress at last. He took Isla and her child to charity events. He prayed at temples. He moved company funds out of the gray market because Isla asked. He looked like a man trying to earn redemption. It would have been funny if it were not so pathetic. He thought this clean, perfect sibling bond could erase everything we had done together. Impossible. Our blood was mixed with sins too deep to scrub away. The moment he carved his name into my skin, he bound us. Death was the only exit. A voice behind me spoke. "Ma'am, the global press conference is in 3 days. He plans to hand half his shares to Ms. Isla and register her and her son in the Blackwood family records. Should we step in?" My smile sharpened. "Of course we are going to step in," I said. "I have been waiting for this." The press event was overflowing with journalists, cameras stacked like a wall of blinking eyes. On the main screen, the host finished narrating Isla's tragic history, her childhood disappearance, the grieving mother who died of heartbreak, the stepfather who kept her room untouched for years. Several people dabbed at their faces, moved by a story that had been polished to perfection. Damien sat at the center of the stage, calm as carved stone. When the host signaled the start of the share transfer, all attention swung to the entrance. The doors flew open. A ripple of shock tore through the room. Isla stood in the doorway, shaking violently, tears pouring down her cheeks. I stepped into view behind her, the barrel of a gun pressed into her spine. The room fell apart in seconds. Screams, overturned chairs, security trying to contain the storm. Damien surged to his feet, fury blazing across his face. "Let her go." Isla sobbed through her terror. "Damien, help me, please." "I did warn you," I said with a pleasant smile, then pulled the trigger. The shot cracked across the chamber. The bullet tore into her shoulder, staining her white dress with a spreading bloom of red. Her scream was awful enough to quiet the room for a heartbeat. Damien froze mid-step, shock and rage colliding in his expression. His men raised their weapons, but didn't dare fire. "Mara," he shouted, his voice fraying at the edges. "Tell me what you want, and I will give it to you. Just don't touch her." "And if I do?" I pressed the gun to her trembling back. "What then? Will you shoot me?" He approached slowly, hands raised, like I was a cornered animal. "I will send her away, if I must. Is that what you want? Must you force me to kill my own sister over a mistake I made years ago?" Then he moved. His arm jerked up. The gunshot echoed. His bullet slammed into my shoulder, knocking me across the floor. My gun spun out of reach. His men were already dragging Isla to safety. Damien strode to me. His shadow swallowed my vision. He grabbed my chin, lifting my face with a grip that was ice cold. "This time, Mara," he said quietly, "you crossed a line you cannot return from." The pain radiated in waves, but I smiled. "Look at you," I whispered. "You used to panic over paper cut. Now you can shoot me without blinking." The flicker in his eyes was enough. I yanked him down and kissed him, a brutal collision of blood and breath. He froze. In that heartbeat of stillness, I ripped the pin from my hair and stabbed it into his shoulder. His grunt of pain shot through the hall. Isla shrieked from across the room. His men snapped into action, but before they could reach us, every door exploded inward. Dozens of my people flooded the hall, black, armed, and silent. The air went razor-sharp. Every gun was pointed at Damien's men. And just like that, the balance shifted. Damien stared at me, then threw his head back and laughed, the sound jagged and unhinged. Blood streamed from both his shoulders, yet he didn't seem to feel it. "My girl," he said, breathless, always full of tricks. His expression hardened. He lifted his hand. At once, a cluster of red laser dots shimmered across my forehead and chest. Snipers. Hidden above the rafters. "Damien! Kill her. Kill her now." Isla screeched, her bandages already soaked through. I only tilted my head. Still underestimating me. I snapped my fingers. Every red jumped off my body and landed on Damien instead. His snipers had been compromised long before he walked into the building. His right-hand man rushed to his side, but instead of helping, he shoved a gun against Damien's skull. Damien went still. He understood. The room belonged to me. My people forced him and Isla onto their knees. "When did you turn my men?" Damien rasped. His voice was rough with disbelief. "I didn't turn them," I replied. "I offered them something worth more than fear." His jaw flexed hard enough to crack. "What do you want?" I ignored him, turning to the trembling reporters. "Why did you stop recording? This is history in the making." Camera lights flickered on shakily. The screen behind me lit up again, showing the deck of a ship. A small child hung over the railing, suspended above snapping sharks below. Damien's face drained of all color. "You asked what I wanted," I said, resting my chin in my hand. "Here it is. Your son or your sister. Choose." His breath hitched. He hadn't expected me to know. I stepped closer, my voice a blade hidden in velvet. "You lied to me for years. You even hid your own child under your sister's name." His silence screamed guilt. Isla snapped out of her shock. "So, what if that boy is his?" she shrieked. "At least I can give him something you can't, you Baron." The gunshot cut her off. I fired without hesitation. Damien lunged in front of her again, the bullet burying itself in his second shoulder. His cry was raw, ripping through the room. Isla clung to him, sobbing, then spat in my direction. "He should not waste his life on you, you insane woman." Damien looked up at me. Pain carved deep lines across his features. "I wanted a child," he whispered hoarsely. "Is that such a crime? If we hadn't lost ours 3 years ago, I never would have looked at anyone else." "Stop talking," I snapped. That wound was old, infected, and still bleeding. I pulled out my phone and started a timer. 60 seconds, I said softly. "Choose, darling." Damien's eyes were bloodshot, wild and untamed. A manic grin twisted across his face. "All of this, it's my fault," he rasped. "But my sister, my son, they're innocent. Why force me to choose?" He searched my face desperately. "The only reason you'd put me in this position is because you still care. You still have feelings for me." His voice softened, pleading. "I'll send them away. We can start over. Just leave the past behind." He was trying to reason with the monster he'd shaped. I laughed, a low, cold sound. Leave the past behind? Long before Isla ever appeared, I had sensed the cracks. The perfume that wasn't mine on his clothes, his late returns, the whispered reassurances that it would always be me. I had believed him. I leaned close, my voice icy against his ear. "When I begged you to spare my boyfriend, telling you it was over, did you let the past go?" I pulled back, letting my gaze pierce him. "When I was held for 3 days, beaten for your sins, and returned broken and bleeding, did you let it go? Now it's your turn to choose between your sister and your child, and suddenly you want forgiveness?" I nodded toward the timer flashing across the screen. 30 seconds. Isla finally understood. "Damien," she cried, clawing at him. "You just found me. I've been gone 20 years. You can't abandon me. She's insane. Let's leave. Anywhere." Damien's eyes never left mine. He trembled, biting his lip until it bled. Then, a choked sob escaping, he tore free from his guards and fell to his knees before me. "I was wrong, Mara. It's all my fault," he gasped. "Let them go. Take me instead. My life for theirs." I froze. We had survived ambushes, knives at our throats, and blood-soaked alleys. I had never heard him beg like this. Now, for them, he would. 10 seconds, I intoned. My men moved, dragging Isla back, pressing a gun to her temple. 5. Damien's composure shattered. A primal roar tore from him. "No. If you don't choose, both die," I reminded him. 3, 2. Just as I was about to count 1, his scream tore out the answer. "My son. I choose my son." I smiled. Bang. The shot rang out. He slumped to the floor, a single tear streaking his grime-smeared face. On the screen, the child was hauled to safety aboard the cabin of the ship. I brushed a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "There, darling," I murmured, my voice a lullaby dipped in venom. "Only one sister remains."
Me.
Damien pushed himself up, staring at me as if seeing me for the first time. Sobs racked him. Raw, unrelenting. "Vicious," he choked. "God, Mara, you're so vicious." "Why this?" he gasped. "After everything we endured, why would you do this?" I rose slowly, stepping toward him. "Darling," I said softly, "I'm only returning what you once did to me." "Why could I learn to love you, but you can only hate me?" he whispered, hollow-eyed. "You never loved me," I said. "Not really. I learned to love you the way you demanded. Exclusively, ruthlessly. And when I did, you looked away." "You don't love me," Damien repeated, venom dripping from every word. "8 years ago, you went insane. I was the one keeping you alive, caring for you, and now you're a walking corpse. A monster." I laughed, sharp and echoing in the empty hall. "No, darling," I said. "You're wrong. I became exactly what you wanted. I loved you, entirely, utterly. You stopped loving me. That's all." He shook his head violently, blood and tears mixing down his face. "I loved the Mara I knew. The gentle one. Not this. You're not her. You're a monster in her skin." "Is that why you grew tired of me?" I asked, voice cold as steel. "Is that why you went searching for your lost sister? Hoping she'd be the ghost of the old Mara?" He flinched, like I'd struck him. "Yes. I wanted to see her. But I never meant to replace you. The real Mara, always only you. Isla was nothing but a placeholder." He laughed, broken and grief-stricken.
"She's gone."
"It doesn't matter now." I stopped smiling and glanced at Isla. "Did you hear that?" I murmured. "The brother who swore he'd protect you said you were just a substitute." Isla's gag was removed. She slumped on the floor, pale and wide-eyed. Her devotion twisted into shock and despair. "So, I was the replacement," she whispered, voice trembling. "We're family blood." Her expression mirrored my own from years ago, when Damien had trapped me in his cruel games. He hesitated, stammering, pulled back into memory. "No, it's not like that." "Then what is it?" she shrieked. "You promised me half the company. A life of security and happiness." I smiled faintly. "I don't like him. He can't give you everything. Only I can. Only I will. All you had to do was watch. Depend on me." Isla had been foolish to believe him. She took 6 months to see the gilded cage for what it truly was. I wiped a single tear from my own eye. "You fool," I said, voice quiet and cutting. "The shares he was granting you? Laden with billions in debt. The moment you signed, you would have belonged to him entirely." I let the bitter truth hang in the air, letting it gnaw at them. "You're lying." "Shut up," Damien bellowed, his hands clawing at the space between us. But it was too late. My words had struck deep. Isla's voice broke into choked, twisted sounds, a mixture of sobs and laughter. "I hate you, Damien," she whispered. Even that fragile murmur made him flinch, as if struck. In a swift, frantic movement, Isla grabbed the gun from the guard at her side. "No."
Bang.
She collapsed to the floor, trembling. Damien screamed, a raw, inhuman sound that ripped through the room, his anguish palpable, as though his very heart had been wrenched out. I smiled, venom curling through my words. "Look at that, darling. You killed your sister. Again." His breath came in ragged, uneven gasps. Slowly, he lifted his head, eyes burning a terrifying crimson. "You planned this," he hissed, each word labored and sharp. "Recreating 8 years ago, you wanted me to feel what I made you feel. Didn't you?" Ignoring the blood pouring from his shoulders, he crawled toward me. I waved my men back, letting him approach. "Why?" he roared, his voice breaking with genuine confusion. "You could have walked away ages ago. Why wait? Why orchestrate revenge like this?" I bent down to meet his gaze. In his constricting pupils, I saw my own reflection, pale, unflinching, eyes as cold as a frozen lake. "Because I loved you, Damien," I whispered. He shuddered, as though my words had scorched him. "If it were only hate," I continued, voice cutting through memory and blood, "how could I have survived long enough to become this?" I was 8 when my mother brought me to your family's house, into that den of vipers.
You protected me.
After she was gone, you were all I had. My only family. I paused, a bitter taste lingering. Even after you killed my boyfriend and broke my mind, I could never feel pure hatred. But now we are the same. Two sides of the same monstrous coin. I lifted my uninjured hand, laying it lightly on his cheek. My touch was gentle, but my words were not. And now, we will torment each other for eternity. No escape for either of us. Damien stared. Then, after a moment, he laughed again. Laughter laced with tears, anguish, and disbelief. Eternity. So be it. An eternity of this. And then, with a sudden, desperate fury, he lunged, tackling me to the floor. In a flash, he snatched the hairpin from my head, the one I had stabbed him with, and raised it for my heart. Then let's go to hell together, he screamed, madness written across every line of his face. I looked into his wild eyes and did not struggle. In the frozen stillness of that moment,
Bang.
a single gunshot, sudden and absolute. Not from anyone around us. The bullet pierced Damien's chest, embedding itself with a sickening finality. He froze, body rigid, eyes flicking to the tiny pistol in my left hand, the one he had given me years ago for protection. His lips moved, but no sound emerged.
I read them anyway.
Mara. My name. A warm drop of blood fell onto my cheek as his heavy body collapsed atop me. The room fell silent, utterly still. Beneath him, I stared at the blinding ceiling lights, feeling the heat ebb from his body. Hell, we had been living in it already. Damien's former right-hand man, now loyal to me, was first to move. He gently helped me to my feet. Ma'am, he said quietly, scanning the shell-shocked reporters. Your orders? I let my gaze sweep across the terrified faces before smiling, a calm, reassuring smile, though laced with underlying threat. Ladies and gentlemen, I said, voice steady and precise, what you witnessed today was a masterclass of performance. The smile deepened, eyes icy. And you will forget it ever happened. A silent wave of nods passed through the room. I walked out, leaving that life behind. The home Damien and I had shared for 8 years was now nothing but a memory. After my wounds healed, I officially assumed control of the Blackwood Empire. It took 3 years, but I executed Damien's plan to perfection, transitioning the company from shadows into the light. His people were efficient, loyal, and ruthless, but I never fully trusted anyone. Especially not his longest-serving lieutenant, the first to switch sides. I had known him as long as I had known Damien, and yet I watched him most closely. For 3 years, he was flawless, more competent than he had ever been under Damien. I sometimes wondered why he had pledged loyalty to me without hesitation. Late one night, after we had finalized the last accounts, I asked him. He stood in the doorway, voice steady as ever. Ma'am, it was simple. Under him, I had reached my ceiling.
He paused.
With you, there was no ceiling. I smiled, asking no further questions. The child Damien had left behind? I established a trust with the majority of my fortune, enough to ensure a life of ease and privilege, a small atonement perhaps. Seasons passed. Then one day, under a sun impossibly bright, I quietly walked away. To a small island, far removed from everything. The place where my story with Damien had truly begun. The water shimmered like glass, the sun warm on my skin. They say it's the closest place on earth to heaven.